Bismillah. Alhamdulillah. Is it doing? Is this on? Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. وصلاة ربي وسلامه ورحمته وبركاته على ذاك النبي الكريم نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. As we continue this great monumental work by the great Imam Abu al-Abbas Taqi-ud-Din Ahmad ibn Abd al-Halim ibn Abd al-Salam ibn Taymiyyah al-Harrani al-Dimishqi, the one who died 728 after the migration of our Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam. Excuse me, everyone. The time now is 7:38 p.m. The 16th of Rajab, if I'm not mistaken. Alhamdulillah. Yahdikum Allahu yuslihu balakum. It's the 16th of Rajab, the year 1447 after the migration of our Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam, which agrees with the Gregorian calendar, which is currently the January the 4th, Sunday, the year 2226. بالتاريخ الميلادي 2026. What did I say? 2026. Trying to keep up with the Hijri calendar. But the Gregorian calendar, 2026 of the Gregorian calendar. So we continue in the chapter. We're speaking about the different usages of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed in his book concerning the two types of affairs which is binding upon every human being to make its distinction, meaning to know which is which, to know what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded in his book, which is called Dini. We talked about this already, or Shara'i, and what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows to happen within the creation of good and evil. And we said that those affairs are extremely important to realize, because if one understands it completely, don't forget about that wire, everyone, that wire. If one understands it completely, then it will be a reason to aiding them when times become very trying, similar to the times we live in now. Excuse me, I forgot to put this on focus. Similar to the times that we live now. You'll find that the times, as we mentioned, especially as the hour approaches of the day of resurrection, you'll find that the affairs will become very difficult. And at the same time, as it comes in the authentic narrations, times will also become easy. As we know, the narrations that comes on Isa ibn Maryam alayhi salatu wassalam, of what will happen when he comes. And similar to that, at the same time, when the Mahdi, similar to that, when those narrations explain that there will be a time of ease, and that he will fill the earth with justice, and all the different corruption will be eradicated, and the corruptions within society, and that the greatest of all them is disbelief in Allah and polytheism. All of that will be eradicated in the earth, and he will fill the earth with justice. And what will take place of Prophet Isa alayhi salatu wasalam when he returns. All of these matters is to let one know that good will come, but the difficult times have to pass, meaning they have to come, and the people have to not only tolerate, but worship Allah and increase in his worship in those difficult times. Because the times during Haraj, at the times where the times are very adverse, meaning difficult, worship in those instances are more virtuous. Because how many people embark upon what's correct in devotion at the times where people are being very corrupt? you'll find that the people join into corruption. When they see the people corrupt, that negative influences pulls a lot of people towards it. But how many people seclude themselves from it and embark upon worshiping Allah and staying firm upon what's correct during those adverse times or trying times? So that's the difference between those two categories that Shaykh al-Islam Taymiyyah, rahimahullah, what he was mentioning in this chapter. We stopped at the kalima, or the usage of the word al-ba'th. The word al-ba'th. And if one turns to page in the translated version, I think it's 273, 274. Which page is it exactly? 200, page 274. صفحة 100 274. صفحة 274 أو 73. 274, 273. You said 274? Okay. Good. So we were speaking about the usage of the word al-ba'th. Al-ba'th. You'll find Shaykh al-Islam, he says, Amma lafdhu al-ba'th. Al-ba'th means to send. Means to send. Ba'th. So he says, rahimahullah, فقال تعالى في البعث الكوني. في البعث الكوني. As for the usage of the word ba'th, he says Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also mentions that in a manner that breaks down to those two categories, such as ba'th al-kawni. Al-kawni meaning what takes place in the creation. And the second category, as we'll speak about, is al-ba'th, what everyone? Ad-dini, al-shar'i. The religious type of what? Ba'th, of sending. And we know ba'th also means, we'll talk about inshallah, also means resurrection. But here in this context, the word ba'th means, and as we'll speak about inshallah, this means here, or the first category we'll talk about is kawni. Kawni. So ba'th kawni. That's the first category. Shaykh al-Islam brings the evidence, which is in Surah al-Isra, ayah 5. Surah al-Isra, ayah number 5. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in his book, if you look everyone, فَإِذَا جَاءَ وَعْدُ أُولَاهُمَا بَعَثْنَا عَلَيْكُمْ عِبَادًا لَنَا أُولِي بَأْسٍ شَدِيدٍ فَجَاسُوا خِلَالَ الدِّيَارِ وَكَانَ وَعْدًا مَفْعُولًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in Surah al-Isra. He was speaking about the Jews. He was speaking about the Jews and their situation. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or what He promised them of victory, as long as they adhere to what's correct. They adhere to singling out Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His worship, and adhering to His obedience, and obeying His prophets and messengers. Then Allah, at the same time, if you look in Surah al-Isra, He also warned them. He warned them that certain affairs would take place, that you will embark upon of corruption. And that's what you'll find, that it says that one of the two promises, when it comes, you'll find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had said to the Christians and informed them. They said in His book subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَقَضَيْنَا إِلَى بَنِي إِسْرَائِيلَ فِي الْكِتَابِ لَتُفْسِدُنَّ فِي الْأَرْضِ مَرَّتَيْنِ وَلَتَعْلُنَّ عُلُوًا كَبِيرًا. That you find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in Surah al-Isra. He was informing Bani Israel in His book that you will fall into corruption twice. So the word qada here, we're not talking about qada, we're talking about ba'th. Now we'll talk about that in the minutes coming. Don't worry. Matter of fact, let's just read it quickly. The Surah al-Isra, ayah number 5. Let's read it quickly. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, if one of the two promises come, we will send. That's the word right there. If you want to put a circle around it with your pencil or pen, it's right there. We will send. Ba'athna. Ba'athna alaykum. عِبَادًا لَنَا أُولِي بَأْسٍ شَدِيدٍ. We will send against you our servants who possess strong might. or severe might. And they will run through and eradicate your living quarters or your dwelling places. And it is a promise that has to be carried out. So the point of evidence in the surah here is what, everyone? Ba'athna, we will send against you. How is this connected with what is kawni? Due to the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in his book about the Yahud that the affair will take place twice of corruption. The first affair when they fall into corruption, of course, by not obeying the prophets and the messengers. And we know from Bani Israel that they even plotted to kill them. Rather, they did kill some of the prophets and messengers, which is the worst form of a crime. That an individual or a human being would kill a prophet and messenger of Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala. A true prophet and messenger, not a fake one. A true prophet and messenger. And a true prophet and messenger always has a sound lineage that goes back to Prophet Ibrahim, alayhi salatu wassalam. And as we know, Prophet Isa, Jesus, and Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, their lineage is one. Their lineage goes back to who? Ibrahim, alayhi salatu wassalam. Based upon that, you'll find that the matter pertaining to the corruption they fell into was disobedience of their prophets and messengers, of course, in addition to even murdering some of them, and in addition to changing the legislation of Allah, and in addition to accusing the prophets and the messengers of what they're free of what they accused Prophet Isa, or rather his mother, Maryam, of falling in to violating her chastity. All the different lies and crimes they did against the prophets and the messengers, and them embarking upon disobedience and affairs that anger Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when they fell into these matters, what happened? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, we sent. The affair pertaining to ibad in this ayah, everyone. If you look in the ayah, Surah Al-Isra, we talked about this last class, there's no problem. So, التكرار أحلى كما يقال في العربية، تكرار أحلى فمن باب يعني من باب التأكيد والتوكيد والترسيخ المعلومات في أذهان السامعين والمستمعين والمستمعات، نكرر كما يقال، يعني التكرار أحلى، لا بأس أن نعيد بعض ما تناولنا من عناصر الدرس في الدرس الذي مضى. Anyway, so it's no problem that we just reiterate some of what we mentioned. But anyway, so it says in the ayah, we sent our servants. Servants here does not mean believers. It means the kuffar. And the person might ask the question, what do you mean? It says, we sent against you, meaning the Jews, we sent against you because of your disobedience. And we know that any story that happened to Bani Israel is a warning to us. That if we fall into disobedience and abandoning what Allah has legislated, the same thing can happen to us. Allah could send servants against us from the non-Muslims to destroy us and eradicate us as a result, as a form of a consequence and punishment from Allah. So it doesn't have to be from ourselves. It could be. Where you'll find Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in other places in the Quran that the form of punishments can come in so many variations, in so many ways. From them, He can make us divided. It's an ayah. وَالْقَادِرُ عَلَىٰ أَن يَبْعَثَ عَلَيْكُمْ عَذَابًا مِنْ فَوْقِكُمْ وَمِنْ تَحْتِ أَرْجُلِكُمْ أَوْ يُلْبِسَكُمْ وَيَلْبِسَكُمْ شِيعًا وَيُذِيقَ بَعْضُكُمْ بَأْسَ بَعْضٍ. It's an ayah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in His book that He is able to send against you a punishment from above you, or from underneath you, or He can make you divided into different sects, and He'll make you taste the evil of one another. So all of these are different forms of punishment that Allah will send down upon the creation as a result of their disobedience. However, another form of a punishment, wal-iyadhu billah, is to send the non-Muslims against us, to send the enemies of Islam, and Allah still called them ibad. We talked about the meaning of this, as you'll find the great Imam Shaykh Salih Fawzan hafidhahullah wa ra'ah, he said about this, he said, لِأَنَّهُ سَبَقَ أَنَّ كُلَّ النَّاسِ عِبَادٌ لِلَّهِ. العبادة العامة كلهم عباد الله تنفذ فيهم أقداره وتدابيره وتدابيره سبحانه لا يخرجون عن ذلك كلهم عبادة قهرية. I'll read it quickly. So keep in mind, if you look in the ayah that Shaykh al-Islam is mentioning here, the word ibad, if you want to put in your books, put here was intended to kuffar. I'm going to explain that in a minute, don't worry. The kuffar, the non-Muslims, the disbelievers, that Allah can send them against even the Muslims. And we know the Jews were also at that time what they were? Muslim. The Jews were Muslims. Yes, they were. All of the followers of the prophets and messengers were Muslimun. All of them. All of them were sent with the religion of Islam. And all of them were Muslimun. All of them. At that time. It is already preceded that all of the people, even the non-Muslims, are ibad. They're all ibad of Allah. All of them are servants of Allah. Meaning the general form of ibadah. The general form of worship. All of them are ibad. Ibad, servants. What does that mean? What it means is, everyone, what carries out despite of what they're upon religiously or in their conviction, what carries out still, what dominates against them, or not against them rather, but what dominates, what carries out amongst them on a daily basis is a divine decree of Allah and the disposement of His affairs within them. So regardless of what they're upon of disbelief, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's power still dominates them. Meaning what Allah decrees for them and what He disposes of their affairs. So from this aspect, they're considered what? Servants, even though they don't realize it. They don't go outside of that. All of them are servants of Allah, which is what they call ibadah qahriyah. What they call the dominative aspect of worship. We just said what that means. Meaning, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's domination in regards to His divine decree and the disposement of their affairs, they do not go outside of that, regardless of the fact, whether they realize it or not. So from this aspect, they are ibad, they're worshippers, even though they do not realize it. Then you have the second type of ibadah, which is ibadah ikhtiyariyah, that optional worship, which is only exclusive for the believers, meaning they chose what was right. They chose to believe what was right. So, al-ubudiyya al-qahriyah, the first category in regards to the non-Muslims, like we said, which is the dominative servitude or worship, that's general for the disbelievers and the what? And the believers. But the second category of what is optional, that's only for who? That's only for the believers. So what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned in Surah Al-Isra, when Allah mentioned ibad here, even though He was mentioning the non-Muslims or the kuffar, He was mentioning it from the aspect of the first category, not the second. Is it clear, everyone? From the aspect of the second category. Why? Because as we mentioned in so many ayat, everything in the heavens and the earth glorifies Allah. Even the kuffar, their bodies glorify Allah, even though they don't realize it. Our bodies glorify Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everything around you glorifies Allah without any exception. In kullu man fi samawati wal ard illa ati ar-Rahmani abda. That's what the Maryam we'll talk about, excuse me. Wa in min shay'in illa yusabbihu bihamdah walakin la tafqahuna tasbihahum innahu kana haliman ghafura. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also says Surah Al-Isra. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, in min shay'in. This is the highest form of tawqeed. This is the highest form of emphasis, without leaving any exception. Allah says, wa in min shay. There is nothing at all except that glorifies Allah. And Allah did not leave any exception except that it glorifies His praise. Right, let's keep going because we have more to cover. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and from the first aspect, He sent the non-Muslims against the Jews at that time. Why did He send them against them, everyone? Because of their transgression. And keep in mind that everything that's in the book of Allah, what happened to them, is a warning for who? For us. So it's not just for us to read and say, oh, mashallah, that happened to them. Oh, no. It's to warn us that if you do the same thing and you traverse the same path, that will happen to you also. That's the reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions those stories in His final book to all humanity and for us. So it says, if you transgress, Allah will give power to the kuffar against you because of the sins and the disobedience you committed. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described the non-Muslims as being uli ba'sin shadid, possessor of strong, severe might. Of strong or severe might. Wal-'iyadhu billah. Meaning, the severity of what they possess of strength, equipment, and sternness. That they will use all types of tactics to humiliate you. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a punishment of disobedience for them not adhering to what's correct. He allowed the non-Muslims who possess strength, might, equipment, and sternness, and people who could be merciless, come and devour your land and devour you. Notice it says in the ayah, if you look at Surah Al-Isra, what does it say? فَجَاسُوا خِلَالَ الدِّيَارِ فَجَاسُوا خِلَالَ الدِّيَارِ. He says that they penetrated and dominated and destroyed and ran through your what? Your homes and your dwelling places, and your places of lodging. He destroyed all of it, or they destroyed all of it, excuse me. So that was the matter you'll find in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as a result of the disobedience, they penetrated their homes, devoured them, looted their wealth, and as a result of their corruption, then, like we said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent enemies to devour and decimate their lands and totally, like we said, their people. Wal-'iyadhu billah. And that was an affair that had to be carried out. Notice Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that was the first time you did it. There's another time you would do it too. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned out of His mercy, He said, ثُمَّ رَدَدْنَا لَكُمَ الْكَرَّةَ عَلَيْهِمْ وَأَمْدَدْنَاكُمْ بِأَمْوَالٍ وَبَنِينَ وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ أَكْثَرَ نَفِيرًا إِنْ أَحْسَنْتُمْ أَحْسَنْتُمْ لِأَنفُسِكُمْ وَإِنْ أَسَأْتُمْ فَلَهَا. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then mentioned the second time they did it. So after they realized what they did was wrong, and then they worked to try to rectify the affair, repair the damage, which is to return back to the obedience of Allah. And that's the only way damage could be repaired. When they rectified their affairs, they returned back to it again. But in that period of time when they rectified their affairs and they returned back to the obedience of Allah, notice what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did for them. He said, we provided with you wealth, children, and we made you the majority of the people. And if you do good, you only do good for yourself. And if you do evil, then that is for yourself. And then when the second affair comes, and then the other affair will come. So the marrat al-thaniya, so you had the first matter when they corrupted, then the second matter when they corrupted, that's here. He said, when the affair of the wa'd al-akhirah, the promise of the hereafter comes, meaning the second time that you fell into this corruption. لِيَسُوءُوا وُجُوهَكُمْ وَلِيَدْخُلُوا الْمَسْجِدَ كَمَا دَخَلُوهُ أَوَّلَ مَرَّةٍ وَلِتُكَبِّرُوا مَا عَلَوْا تَتْبِيرًا. So you find that it says that the second time when they fell into this corruption and they corrupted their faces to render it evil. Here's the second time you fell into it. Now you fell into corruption within the earth again. And what happened again? Allah repeated the same punishment against you. أعاد عليكم العقوبة, meaning those who came in order to transgress, and now Allah allowed them to transgress against you. And they rendered your face black, meaning of humiliation, disgrace, and defeat. In order for them now to enter Masjid al-Maqdis, meaning Bayt al-Maqdis, Masjid al-Aqsa in Palestine. So all the times that you'll find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave and bestowed His mercy upon them, what allowed the victory and the honor to be removed was because of them distancing themselves from the adherence of Allah's commands and the commands of the Prophet that was sent to them. When they abandoned it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had overpowered them of all forms of humiliation, disgrace from the enemies that weren't from them, meaning from the kuffar. And that's the same affair to us. If we fall into the same thing, the same form of corruption, the same form of paths and ways of destruction, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows the enemies from the non-Muslims to come and destroy us. And I wouldn't be surprised if this is the time now. And I wouldn't be surprised even if the non-Muslims put someone between the people of the Sunnah here to divide them from the between. I would not find it far off. I would not find it far off. That someone, that the mukhabarat from the non-Muslims came and put somebody and planted them within the Salafis to destroy them from within. Or if not, multiple people. All of this is due to our what? Of us and our affairs of disobedience to Allah. Because if the people were focused upon their obedience, these enemies would have easily been exposed. Easily. But however, you'll find what happened with the Yahud and what they had done, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's promise had to be what? Carried out the first time, and what again? And the second time. So, كما دخلوه أول مرة وليتبروا ما علوا تتبيرا. So that's the first time they entered the Masjid. And they corrupted Bayt al-Maqdis. Then, ليتبروا, meaning what those enemies had destroyed of you. Why? Because ala banu Israel, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provided of all great forms of provisions of wealth and great living or great lodging, all those different types. Notice it says in the ayah, وَلِيُتَبِّرُوا مَا عَلَوْا تَتْبِيرًا. وَلِيُتَبِّرُوا, meaning the enemies from the kuffar destroyed what you were given of prominence. Ma'alaw, meaning what Allah gave you a prominence of wealth, provisions, comfortable places to live in, comfortable lodging. All of those affairs became what? Eradicated. So again, similar to what happened to Banu Israel, can happen again. And listen to this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talked about twice where they corrupted, and then twice Allah sent enemies against them. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned a third time. It says, عَسَى رَبُّكُمْ أَن يَرْحَمَكُمْ وَإِنْ عُدْتُمْ عُدْنَا وَجَعَلْنَا جَهَنَّمَ لِلْكَافِرِينَ حَصِيرًا. He said, maybe your Lord will have mercy upon you, meaning He did. He did have mercy upon you. And if you go back to it again, we're going to return back to it, giving those enemies against you. It says, وَإِنْ عُدْتُمْ عُدْنَا. If you go back to it, we will. And we made the hellfire as a trap for you to be in. So you'll find in these ayat, everyone, it's the third time they did it. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talked about what? Then He talked about the third time. The third time, everyone, is when the message of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was sent against them. During the time of war, when the Jews in Medina, who are the three tribes, as we talked about this on many occasions, who are the three? Banu Nadir, Banu Qurayza, Banu Qaynuqa', all three of them, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent the message of Allah against them. And who they had co-conspired with the Confederates to join against the message of Allah behind the closed scenes in order to kill him. And they tried numerous assassin attempts against the message of Allah, at the time where they had a treaty with them to let you know how treacherous they were. The Messenger of Allah made a treaty with them so they could stay there. They made a treaty, trust, made a pact, and they still was behind the scenes being what? Scheming and plotting. Similar to what people do these days. Scheme and plot, and even though you know you can see it, scheming and plotting, you got puppet masters behind the scenes, controlling everything. Right? Those type of individuals, you'll find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned about the Yahud, those three tribes, which is in Al-Medina. Three, I'll say it again. It was Banu Nadir, Banu Qurayza, Banu Qaynuqa'. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent against them the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that was the story what happened with Sa'd ibn Mu'adh radiyallahu anhu ardah. And the battle of Khaybar with the Jews and their treachery when they betrayed their treaty or the trust or the pact that was made with them. But at any rate, let's move on to the next ayah. But the point of the matter is, that was just side benefit. The point of the matter is in that ayah, if you look at Surah Al-Isra, put a circle around the word ba'athna. So I'm going to ask everyone the question. If you didn't understand any of the benefits we mentioned, this is the first and only point I need you to understand. What type of ba'ath is this? Is it the second category of what Allah allows to happen of good and evil? Or is the what? Second. It's the second, which is shar'i, dini, the religious type of sending. Which one? Kawni or dini? What do you say? No. Think. Oh. Why? Why could it be both? Why couldn't you just uthbut ya Uhud? Why couldn't you just be firm upon the first answer? What do you say? Says the first, he says Kawni. Uthbut ya Uhud. Ha! Stay firm, Uhud. Stay firm. Sending the enemies against you. But that was evil. There you go. So we say it's the what? First category. Kawni. If you notice in the book, what does it say? That's what Shaykh al-Islam Taymiyyah said. Look what Shaykh al-Islam said. Shaykh al-Islam Taymiyyah, what did he say, everyone? أما لفظ البعث فقال تعالى في البعث إيش الكوني البعث الكوني. You see it? البعث الكوني. Good. Just keep reading. So now he gives the example of what they call ba'ath ad-dini. Let's move on, everyone. Let's move on. Second, because we want to cover these verses. طيب وقال تعالى في البعث الديني هو الذي بعث في الأميين رسولا منهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة وقال تعالى ولقد بعثنا في كل أمة رسولا أن اعبدوا الله واجتنبوا الطاغوت. طيب, so now we move from the first, which is ba'ath wa kawni, to the second, which is what? Ba'ath dini. Dini, the religious form of what? Ba'ath, of sending. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in Surah Al-Jumu'ah, ayah number 2. He is the one that has sent. So put your circle around that. Ba'atha. He is the one that is sent amongst the ummiyin, the illiterate ones. The illiterate ones. A messenger. Allah, as we know, the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was able to come with this proper guidance and it be through a messenger that couldn't read and write was actually a miracle. To come with proper guidance. And that was to show that the message that he came with was actually true. But it says in the verse, he is the one that is sent amongst the illiterate ones a messenger from amongst them, reciting to them his verses. Reciting to them his verses, purifying them and teaching them the book and the hikmah. We know the meaning of the word hikmah is sunnah here. The meaning of the word hikmah is sunnah. And we know every prophet and messenger had a what? Sunnah. To be followed for their people at that time. Every messenger. وقال تعالى, that indeed we have sent to every ummah a messenger to worship Allah and stay away from the false idols. Like these examples of what, everyone? Al-Ba'th, what? Ad-Dini. Good. What's the key or the distinguishing factor here to separate between them? No. Dini. Focus on the first, on the ayah, the verse, ayah number 2. All you have to say is one word. It is he who sent. Amongst the literate ones, what? That's it. The word messenger. So as soon as you hear messenger, what comes to your mind? Dini, Shara'i. What was legislated in the religion. What was legislated in the religion. Because the messenger sallallahu was sent in order to what? Teach the people what? The legislation. So that's connected with what? Dini, Shara'i, Ahsant, good. Rasulan minhum. And the extra clarification, reciting to them what? His verses, his signs, which is his verses. The Quran. What's that, everyone? Dini, Shara'i. Purifying them and teach them then what? You just go to Hikmah, just forget the book. The book and the Sunnah. All of that is what? It's clear. Dini, Shara'i. Good. وقال تعالى, indeed we have sent. That's the point of reference here. Put a circle around that. Indeed we have sent. No, it's Surah An-Nahl now. Indeed we have sent. That's the word. So put a circle around it. Indeed we have sent. لقد بعثنا في كل أمة رسولا أن اعبدوا الله واجتنبوا الطاغوت. So if you want to just put a circle around the word what? We sent. Ba'ath. That's ba'ath. بعثنا في كل أمة رسولا أن اعبدوا الله واجتنبوا الطاغوت. واجتنبوا الطاغوت. Indeed, we have sent in every ummah a messenger. Which category? It's easy. Clear. To worship Allah. That's what? Shara'i, Dini. And stay away from the what? Taghut. That's Shara'i. Everything legislated. Good. So I think that's clear, right, everyone? Let's keep going. Then Shaykh al-Islam Taymiyyah, rahimahullah, he clarified another usage of another word, or the usage of another word, which is lafdhul irsal. لفظ الإرسال فقال تعالى في الإرسال الكوني ألم تر أن أرسلنا الشياطين على الكافرين تؤزهم أزا. So we just moved from the word ba'ath. Now we're speaking about the word irsal. Irsal, which also means sent or sending. Sending. But irsal here means, of course, to send a messenger. Ba'ath also has a slight difference. I don't have time to go into it right now. But at any rate, the word irsal also means sending. Irsal. 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 Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions the first category, which is irsal wa al-kawni. What Allah sends within this existence, and it could be good or evil. They also said dispatch. Dispatch a messenger, huh? Dispatch a messenger. Send. Send. They have different differences, slight differences in the words. Like I said, I don't have time to talk about it right now. But anyway, irsal also means sending. Because when the word rasul, what does rasul mean? Messenger. Right, so let's keep going. Do you not see that we have sent the devils against the disbelievers, pushing them to do evil? Pushing them to do evil, meaning the disbelievers, you'll find that this type of dispatchment, I'm joking with you. Dispatchment or joking mess with you. And messenger or sending here, is it a sending that is legislated? First of all, who's being spoke about here in this verse? Who? The disbelievers. The disbelievers, the kuffar. And in addition to that, the devils. The shayateen. So if it was a legislated type of dispatchment or sending, it would have been mentioned what? A prophet or messenger. Angels also, ahsant. But however, who is mentioned here? The non-Muslim or the disbelievers and the devils. So which category is it? The first or the what? Ahsant. It's the first. It's kawni. Something evil. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala send the devils, which is kawni qadari, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows to happen when this is in this existence. And notice Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He utilized the devils. Because the devils are under Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's what? Power and domination. So one should not think or have the belief that the devils have some form of power in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's kingdom. They don't. Allah has full power over what? Everything. To the point where He inspires them to what? Be sent upon people who Allah hates. So Allah will send the devils against the disbelievers. He'll send the devil, meaning He will inspire them. Not give revelation to them. He will inspire them. To what? To be sent against who? The disbelievers. And وَلَا يَعْلَمُ جُنُودَ رَبِّكَ إِلَّا هُ, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also says in His book, in Surah al-Muddathir, Allah says, no one knows the soldiers of your Lord except Him. Meaning the soldiers of Allah could be anyone. It could be from amongst the human beings. It could be the scholars. The scholars are upon uprightness could be sent to the people of falsehood, where they write with their pens because they are able to do that knowledge-based wise. Those are considered soldiers. Also, the angels are considered the soldiers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that defend from the devils within the heavens. So the soldiers of Allah, who we mentioned, in addition to who Allah can also send, who are also evil, against other evil people. And we have ayat in the Quran that talks about this also, everyone. That there's not a zalim, that there's not an oppressor within this existence, except that Allah will send upon him someone who's more oppressive than him against him. As it says in the ayah, وَكَذَلِكَ نُوَلِّي بَعْضَ الظَّالِمِينَ بَعْضًا بِمَا كَانُوا يَكْسِبُونَ. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in His book, verily we paired up the oppressors to one another due to what they've earned. So a person should take in consideration that evil people, what could be sent against you is someone who's what? Evil like you. And sometimes they could be what? More evil than you and worse, and they'll be sent against you. So in this particular ayah, which is in Surah Maryam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, do you not see we have sent the devils against the disbelievers? تَأُزُّهُمْ أَزَّةً, meaning pushing them to disbelief and polytheism as a punishment for them. So they could go deeper in their transgression and deeper in their evil. So all these matters you'll find are examples of which Shaykh al-Islam that he brings to establish that what type of irsal is this? Kawni. Is it clear, everyone? Let's keep going. You had a question?
Yeah, so is this version more so interpreted as used instead of like sent?
Let's keep going. So, you're being fixated. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. وقال تعالى, let's keep going. وهو الذي أرسل الرياح بشرا بين يدي رحمته. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in Surah al-Furqan, ayat number 48. 48. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in His book, He is the one that has sent the winds as glad tidings between what is in front, between what is in front of His mercy. What type of irsal is this, everyone? Winds. He is the one that has sent the winds. You're right about the name of the surah. What categories? First to first or second? Kawni, Qadri, winds. Like we said, Kawni could be either good or it could be what? It could be evil. It could be good or evil. But Kawni, what does the word Kawni in Arabic language mean, everyone? Within the creation. Within the creation. So what does it say in the ayah? He's the one that sent the what? Winds. It's glad tidings. What will come in front of his mercy, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Or after his mercy, rather. Oh. Well, before his mercy. Good. Before his mercy. طيب. That instance, the winds here are what? Kawni. When you hear the word كوني كاف واو نون الذي يتبادر إلى الذهن هو ماذا؟ ما يتعلق بالخلق. يعني ما يتبادر إلى أذهانكم ما يكون متعلق بإيش؟ بالخلق وبالمخلوقات. When you hear the word كوني, what's that come to your minds is what? What's connected with what, everyone? The creation. Creation. So it says here, he's the one that sent the what? Winds. So, first or second category? First. First. Good. Let's keep going. وقال تعالى في الإرسال الديني. Now we're going to give examples, Shaykh al-Islam says, of irsal that is used for the religion. إِنَّا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ شَاهِدًا وَمُبَشِّرًا وَنَذِيرًا. Surah Al-Fath. Indeed, we have sent you as a witness, a giver of glad tidings, and a warner. Surah Al-Fath. Surah Al-Fath. No, Surah Ahzab. Surah Al-Fath. Huh? Let me see your book. Let me see your book. والذي أرسل الرياح بشرا. No, that's what I said. Surah Al-Ahzab. شاهدا ومبشرا ونذيرا وداعيا إلى الله بإذنه وسراجا منيرا. You're right, it is Surah Al-Ahzab. No, there's also an ayat that's similar to that in Surah Al-Fath. It's similar to that. So you can use either which one. إنا أرسلناك شاهدا ومبشرا ونذيرا وداعيا إلى الله بإذنه وسراجا منيرا. That's Surah Al-Ahzab. That's Surah Al-Ahzab. And there's another ayah, Surah Al-Fath, is similar to that. Don't matter. Mine say Fath, yours say Surah Al-Ahzab. They're both correct. You can use both. Good. Ahsantu. Mumtaz. Good. Indeed, we have sent you as a witness, a giver of glad tidings, and a giver of what? Warnings or warner. Which category is that? Good. Let's keep going. وقال تعالى إنا أرسلنا نوحا إلى قومه. Indeed, we have sent Nuh. I think that's clear. Dini. Good. وقال تعالى إنا أرسلنا إليكم رسولا شاهدا عليكم كما أرسلنا إلى فرعون رسولا فعصى فرعون الرسول فأخذناه أخذا وبيلا. Right, everyone? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that he mentions in Surah Al-Muzammil. Indeed, we have sent to you a messenger. As soon as you hear messenger, Dini. Good. Ahsantu. As a witness upon you, just as we sent to Pharaoh a messenger. Good. Let's keep going. وقال تعالى الله يصطفي من الملائكة رسلا ومن الناس. Indeed, Allah has chosen or selected from the angels messengers and from the people. Which category? Dini. Good. So, based upon that, you'll find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ar-rusul, is upon two categories. What is that? Rusulun min al-malaika, messengers from amongst who? The angels. Messengers from amongst the angels. Who is that? Angel Jibreel, alayhi salam, where he was a messenger of delivering what? The wahi, of revelation, to the message of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was a rasul as far as giving or delivering the wahi from Allah to the message of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So that's called al-Rasul al-Malaki. Al-Malaki, meaning the angelic messenger, who's Jibreel, alayhi salam, that came with wahi, which gave life to the what? to the hearts. Ahsant. So Angel Jibreel was entrusted revelation, which is to revive and give life to the hearts. And we know that what's the angel that gives life to the physical? Which angel? Mikael. Mikael was entrusted with giving life to the physical of the human beings. Where he was in charge of what? The crops, the vegetation, and the agriculture, which gives life to the physical. Which gives life to the physical. So let's keep going. I won't go too much into this. الرسل على قسمين. So you have the angelic messengers, who are the angels. From them, Angel Jibreel, of course. وَرُسُلٌ مِّنَ الْبَشَرِ. And from the human beings. Let's keep going. Next page. وَأَمَّا لَفْظُ الْجَعْلِ. So now we finished in the class so far. Ba'ath, Irsal. Now we'll move on to another word, which is called Ja'al. Ja'al. We say the answers for after class, the questions for after class. Jim, Ain, Lam. Ja'al. Ja'al. Right, let's keep going. So now we move to the usage of another word, which is Ja'al. فقال في الكون وجعلناهم أئمة يدعون إلى النار. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from amongst the creation, Kawni, in Surah Al-Qasas, ayah number 41. We made from them A'imma, calling to the hellfire. Second or first? Second category or first category? Good, clear. First. First, calling to the hellfire is something what? Evil. Something evil that Allah allowed to happen for a reason. Meaning, to test the people to see if they'll follow it. See if they won't follow it and adhere to what's incorrect as a test for them. But Allah allowed it to happen, kawnan. Here it's ja'al kawnan. For this, matter of fact, let me go back to the first. It says in the ayah, we made. So that's the point. If you want to circle it right there. We made. وَجَعَلْنَاهُمْ أَئِمَّةً يَدْعُونَ إِلَى النَّارِ. We made them a'imma, so-called leaders, or so-called scholars of evil. But the first it says in the ayah, وَجَعَلْنَاهُمْ. وَجَعَلْنَاهُمْ. Ja'al. So put a circle over that in your books, everyone. Which part? That's in the existence, because it's something that's what? Something that is evil. That Allah allowed to happen for a reason. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed that to happen for a reason. وقال في الدين لكل جعلنا منكم شرعة ومنهاجا. That we made for every, meaning every ummah, we made from amongst them a legislation and a methodology. That's clear. What category is that? Dini, Shar'i. Good. Let's keep going. وقال تعالى, now I want to test it. ما جعل الله من بحيرة ولا سائبة ولا وصيلة ولا حام. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not make of Bahira, He did not make Bahira or Sa'iba, these are a name of idols, nor Wasila, nor Ham. He did not. Which category? First or second?
Which ayah you talking about?
So Al-Ma'idah, ayah number 103. He did not make. I'll give you a hint. We did not legislate. We did not legislate for you. Bahira, none of these idols was not legislated for you. You get it? Not Bahira, wala Sa'iba, wala Wasila, wala Ham. At all. So when you hear these affairs were not what? Legislated. Different types. In which the mushrikeen, of course, made as Bahimatul An'am for their idols. meaning sacrificial animals for their idols. So the affair revolved around what legislated. That Allah did not legislate at all. ما شرع الله ذلك. So that particular ayah, pay attention, is called, first and second category. Which one, everyone? Which one? Second. Good. And then Shaykh al-Islam is going to get a little tricky. He's going to give you some examples here that's slightly tricky now. Slightly. Let's keep going. Next. وأما لفظ التحريم فقال في الكون وحرمنا عليه المراضع من قبل. Good. As for now this we're talking about the word what, everyone? Tahrim. What is forbidden? So keep that in mind. So I think everyone is going to think automatically dini, shar'i. Right? So, as for the love of tahrim, keep in mind this particular verse, which is in Surah Al-Qasas, ayah number 12. Surah Al-Qasas. You see it? Surah Al-Qasas, ayah 12. What does it say? We made unlawful upon Musa alayhi salatu wasalam for any woman to give him suckling. Meaning Musa won't take the breasts of any woman to give him suckle for his milk when he was an infant. Alayhi salatu wasalam. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted the happiness of his mom to happen, the coolness of her eyes to happen. وَرَدَدْنَا إِلَيْهِ لِكَيْ تَقَرْ. Excuse me, go back to the ayah, Surah Al-Taha. Let me keep it summarized, because we got to move. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in order to bring coolness to the eyes of the mother Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, Allah wanted Musa to go back to his what? Mother. But if Musa would have returned back and she gave him suckling, he didn't take it, that would have made her what? That would have made her sad. That would have made her sad. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, amongst, matter of fact, I'm not going to give you no hint. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had, if I say that, that'll give you the answer. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not allow Musa to take the suckling from any other woman for that reason. That's why it says this in the ayah. But the word forbidden was used. However, was that religiously or was it within the creation? Which one? Nice. Nice. There's no right or wrong answer right now because we're all learning. Here in this ayah, it says, Harramna. We made unlawful upon Musa, al-maradi', to take suckling from other women, from there to breastfeed them, from before. Was this a form of religious legislation or was something that Allah preordained within the creation? Which one? I don't know, just give me an answer. First or second? Your answers are correct. It's kawni. Even though the word tahrim was used, but that was affairs were taking place only for who? For Musa within the creation. That was only for him in order to protect his mother so she can remain happy for her son. So Allah will allow her son to come back to him and he will make Musa coolness of her eyes by him taking or accepting the what? The suckling from her. That's only within what? The creation. Is that for everybody? No. As we know, it's permissible for a woman to breastfeed her child, her own child, and who? And other children. Absolutely. And that happened during the time of the Messenger of Allah. It still happens today. And if you do that, this becomes a family member of yours. You understand, everyone? Especially if they do more 5 sucklings, Khalas, that is a family member now. You understand, everyone? That becomes a family member. Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm. النقد فيه في اليم فليلقيه اليم في الساحل يأخذه عدو لي وعدو له فرددنا إلى أمك كي تقر عينها ولا تحزن. So anyway, but come on. But anyway, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in his book, because I don't want to get sidetracked. Let's keep going, everyone. So it says this verse is an example of, again, which one? Koni. Cool. Okay, let's keep going. Another ayah, Surah Al-Ma'idah, ayah 26 في سورة المائدة فإنها محرمة عليهم 40 سنة يتيهون في الأرض فلا تأس على القوم الفاسقين. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in his book about what happened with Bani Israel. He said, verily it is forbidden upon them 40 years. They'll be lost within the earth or wandering about within the earth. Wandering about within the earth. And I think, alhamdulillah, we gave a khutbah on this about a month ago. Of what happened with Bani Israel when they were commanded to fight the Jababirah, which is in Canaan, which is in Canaan, the promised land. They even mention that in the Bible, if I'm not mistaken. It's still in there, unless it's been twisted or altered. But the Canaan, I think, is still mentioned. But at any rate, they was promised to them. However, it was only promised to them by them adhering to what? Fighting their enemies that abused them. To fight the Jababirah, the haughty ones within their lands that Allah had commanded them to go within the land and fight them. And I told Abdur-Aziz to find the other individual who told them to fight. Along Prophet Musa, Harun, Yusha, who was the other one? It was in the book. Who was it? What was his name? But anyway, if you go back to the ayah, Surah Al-Ma'idah, Prophet Yusha was involved in that affair. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in Surah Al-Ma'idah, he says, وَقَالَ رَجُلَانِ مِنَ الَّذِينَ يَخَافُونَ أَنْعَمَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِمَا ادخلوا عليهم الباب فإذا دخلتموه فإنكم غالبون وعلى الله فتوكلوا إن كنتم مؤمنين. As it says in the ayah, Surah Al-Ma'idah. He said, two men from Bani Israel said to them, Thank you. Two men from Bani Israel said to them, meaning to Bani Israel. Who are those two men? Prophet Yusha and Caleb. Told the Bani Israel, enter upon them. If you enter in the land, you'll be triumphant. You'll be successful. Notice Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned them generally within the ayah, but it was speaking about Yusha, Prophet Yusha. Alayhi salatu wasalam, he was a prophet. He was a prophet. Yusha and Caleb. So when he entered, they said, fight the Jababirah. As we know that Bani Israel were what? Cowardly people. They were Jubana. And we've talked about in the khutbah before how a person could be so mentally destroyed due to so much what? Corruption. And so much humiliation of what it can happen. And it takes a person that is very strong in Iman to come out of the type of psychological defeat that they were doomed to be just drowned in. That's the reason why I tell these people to watch for these movies. And from these movies is those slave movies. Those slave movies was meant to destroy your mind. To say, this is the filthy nonsense you come from, so this is where you need to stay at. And they put that in your mind to make you what? Be lowly. To know to see, this is how we destroyed you. Psychologically and mentally, and you're never coming out of it. Because look at you. And this is what they do to you. And you look at it like, oh, whoa, look how we used to be tortured. That's basically all who we are. You'll find that this is the same thing that happened to Bani Israel. How Pharaoh, he destroyed their minds. Destroyed them. Just totally defeated and just took away all their morale. You understand? Until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had his mercy upon them in so many ways. To the point where Bani Israel was the most of who the prophets and messengers were sent was to who? To them. Was to them. To show his mercy upon them. So it says in the ayah, two men, Yusha and Caleb, said, "Udkhulu alayhim al-bab, فَإِذَا دَخَلْتُمُوا فَإِنَّكُمْ غَالِبُونَ." Enter upon them. If you enter in it, you'll defeat them. Put your trust in Allah if you're truly believers. What did they say? They mocked at Prophet Musa and Harun. What does it say in the ayah? It says, إِنَّ فِيهَا قَوْمًا جَبَّارِينَ وَإِنَّا لَن نَدْخُلَهَا حَتَّى يَخْرُجُوا مِنْهَا فَإِنْ يَخْرُجُوا مِنْهَا فَإِنَّا دَاخِلُونَ. What did it say in the ayah? It said, severely in it is haughty people. They was nervous. And if they come out, we'll go in. But we're not fighting. To the point where he even said to the ayah, he says, you, Musa, you fight with your Lord. They didn't say our Lord. They said what? Your Lord, Musa. أَنْتَ وَرَبُّكَ فَقَاتِلًا إِنَّا هَاهُنَا قَاعِدُونَ. You and your Lord go fight. We're sitting right here. To the point where Musa said, I don't own anyone except me, what? Me, myself, and my brother, Harun, Aaron. He said, فَفْرُقْ بَيْنَنَا وَبَيْنَ الْقَوْمِ الْفَاسِقِينَ. That's what it said in the ayah. فَإِنَّهَا مُحَرَّمَةٌ عَلَيْهِمْ 40 سَنَةً يَتِيهُونَ فِي الْأَرْضِ فَلَا تَأْسَ عَلَى الْقَوْمِ الْفَاسِقِينَ. So as a punishment to them, after they, not only they were so humiliated and their morale was so defeated, to the point where they even mocked at their own prophet and messenger. After, and you'll find in the verses in the Quran, why did they receive this type of punishment? And even after they fell into this, Allah still has mercy upon them for 40 years. Due to the fact you'll find that their morale was destroyed. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed them to see the greatest of signs of how he destroyed Pharaoh, how he allowed to give them sustenance. They seen it with their own eyes. What Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can what? Is in his perfect, tremendous power and ability. They seen it. So how is it that you're still in this state after you've seen all these signs? How? You see what Allah can do. You see what Allah, how he defeated Pharaoh. Drowned him and humiliated him. What is it now that you can't what? You can't believe and submit to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded. So all these signs were given to him. That's just to show how affairs of how a morale of a people could be so destroyed mentally that it's hard for them to climb out of it. You understand, everyone? And this is what Pharaoh did to them. Destroyed their morale so much, just destroyed it. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed them to see the signs, but they just certain things they just can what? Change about themselves. This is to let you know that the ulama tafsir, they said it's binding upon the people when they submit to the religion of Islam, they have to fight this mentality. Because you'll stay in this type of lowliness that is holding you back. After Allah gave you signs to let you know of clear guidance that he bestowed upon you his mercy. He allowed you to be guided to Salafiyah. So why don't you submit to it? You still want filth? You still want to be gutter filth? After he saved you from it. And you know your backgrounds. You know where you come from. You know the filth that you are upon. And Allah guided you to it. So be grateful for it. Practice it. Implement it. Show your gratefulness. But certain people's mentality, they just can't get it out themselves. And this is the example of it, what happened to Bani Israel. No matter how much signs Allah showed them, how many miracles, how many prophets, to the end of it, they still couldn't just change their mentality. Just stuck. You understand? You get it? Can't move forward. Can't move on. So as a result of it, what did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says? For verily it is what? Haram upon them how many years? 40. You'll wander within the earth. Yatihuna fil ard. Don't feel sorry for disobedient people. فَلَا تَأْسَ عَلَى الْقَوْمِ الْفَاسِقِينَ. Meaning people that have seen the signs. Allah saved them, bestowed His mercy upon them, destroyed their enemy to the end of it. And then now you still want to utter this nonsense of disgrace and disrespect to your own prophet and messenger, Prophet Musa alayhi salatu wasalam. Totally disrespected him by saying, you and your Lord go fight. Here, we're staying right here. And how many of that do we see this type of affair within ourselves here? Amongst people. You want the smoke. I don't want the smoke. You fight. You go fight. You don't want to say it. You be the bad wolf. You speak out against it. I'm right here. I ain't saying nothing. Here, I'll let you say it. But I ain't say it. You ain't hear from me to the end of the nonsense. Cowards. Mentality. You understand? Just beat down so much. So then it says, it's haram upon them for 40 years. 40 years until what? What did he say about the benefits? We talked about this khutbah about a month and a half ago. We said that from the great ai of the Salafi scholars. I'm sure some of you are not familiar with. His name was Ibn Badis, rahimahullah, from Jazair, from Algeria, Salafi, and his sahib, Muhammad Bashir al-Ibrahimi, rahimahullah, from Jazair, to talk about the tafsir of this particular ayah. Muhammad Bashir al-Ibrahimi. You should familiarize yourself from other Salafi scholars on other lands. But anyway, you'll find that he mentions about this ayah. He said that this also applies to the isti'mar, to the colonization of what the non-Muslims had devised as apply in order to destroy the morale of people all over the world. How they destroyed their minds and separated them and kept them in a very weak mental state so they could be influenced. So as a result of it, they started preferring their way of life over Islam, and even their language, adopting it over their own. And that's what colonization was used. It was used as a mental type of what they call ghazw al-fikri, to destroy the people's mental, to destroy their mental state, to make them feel that you humiliating me, actually they feel like you're doing them a favor. And that's what happened with what? Here in America. They did the exact same thing. Humiliated them, and to the point they warped their minds as if they did them a favor. That if that's not humiliation, I don't know. It's to psychologically damage someone to the point where you really thank them for doing what you did for me. You humiliated me, destroyed my family, killed me. Thank you. I want to be just like you. You understand? Right. In that instance, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned about them, they wander within the earth. So now, in order for this degraded people that fell into the state, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had to give them 40 years in order for their generation to fade away. They're all for the old generation. Get rid of the old and put in the next generation to come. So the next generation, they will be the ones to step up and have the bravery. Because if you look at the tafsir of the ayah, they will have the bravery to stand firm and fight against the Jababirah, the people who are in their land that Allah wanted to give them 40 years ago, but now the next youth was going to do it better in a better fashion, where they have the bravery and they had the guts to step forward, to sacrifice to want better for their people and for their religion, and they entered in the land and they conquered them. But it took all those years for the next generation to come. 40 years. Wander within the earth. And within the midst of that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala still had His mercy upon them. He sent upon them menun salwa, of food, the sustenance, and He even gave them shadow from the clouds from the heat when they were wandering the land, even though they disobeyed the prophets and messengers. And that's just to sum it up. Let's go back to the book. Questions after the lesson. So in that instance, everyone, based upon everything I just said, you guys should be able to say this answer. So which one is it? Is it the first or second? Huh? First. Ahsant. First. And it's also a lesson within these verses of Surah Al-Ma'idah, everyone. It's a lesson for us to appreciate that Allah guided us to Salafiyah. And we have to strive to show our thanks to it by being obedient to Allah. Being obedient to Him and ridding ourselves of the filth we were upon before we were Muslim. All of us are capable of being criminals. All of us are capable of being schemers and plotters. All of us are. But the best of us are the best of us who in Jahiliyyah if they attain the proper fiqh of religion. And at the same time, fighting ourselves to stay away from all those affairs of what we were upon before we were Muslim. In every aspect. Whether it be in obedience, whether it be in how our children, our families, everything. To rid ourselves of all of the gutter filth we were upon before we were Muslim. And that will show to our Lord that we are grateful for being guided. For what he gave us and what he had not gave others. And we see it clearly. How many people out here we see are like zombies out here? Or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala removed it from them. May Allah preserve us and you. But if you persist upon that type of matter, you'll find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will start beautifying those type of lowly affairs of yours. And to the point you will never want to change it. You rather think it's all, it's what we do. It's what we do. And then the people that's trying to fight to be upright, they're looking at you like this. Are you crazy? Oh, you like this? Oh, Allah decorated in your heart? To still be dusty? After he guided you to Salafiyah? To be dishonest, to be a schemer and a plotter? And all this other nonsense we were upon? This is what you want? And you want other people to join in with it? Please. So that is what you'll find, everyone, that we have to take lessons in this regard. That the matters of plotters and schemers and dishonest people and those who like filth and gutter nonsense, that those affairs shows that you're not grateful for what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has what? He's given you. And and if you struggle in his cause, he will guide you towards the straight path, and he will allow the blessings within your life to grow until you will never want to go back to that nonsense ever again. And sometimes he might separate from people who are not upon that path. I don't care who it is. He separated you from them for a reason. You understand, everyone? And that affair will always come clear after a time. Yeah, that's what you was doing. That's why I can never be around you. You understand? Good. So be strong and stay focused. Next ayah. So it says, وَقَالَ تَعَالَى فِي الدِّينِ. So now we moved on for what's irsal, or excuse me, tahrim, or what's the word tahrim. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used the word harramna. Here I was talking about what was it speaking about? Tahrim as far as in what? As far as in the creation. So tahrim doesn't necessitate dini all the time. So based upon those two examples, what do we extract from that? The tahrim sometimes can be used for what? Kawni. You see it? Can be for the creation. So not all the time when you hear in the Quran that tahrim can necessitate what? Dini. Sometimes it can necessitate what? Kawni. Good. That's it. You understood? Excellent. Tahrim, forbiddance, sometimes can be kawni. We just mentioned examples. It's sort of al-qasas. No, kaf. Kaf, wow, noon. Ya nisba. Kawni. Kawniyun. Is it clear? Is it clear? It's not clear. Good. Type. What about tahrim in the religion? وقال في الدين. Let's read it. How long are we talking? How long does it say? Oh, we got to conclude soon. Let's keep going. No, we finished Surah Al-Ma'idah. Let's keep going. وقال في الدين حرمت عليكم الميتة والدم ولحم الخنزير وما أهل لغير الله به. Surah Al-Ma'idah under ayah number what? 3. So it's been unlawful upon you meat of what is dead, of what died, and blood, meaning what was improperly slaughtered. Everybody's mind is focused on the pork meat. What about the other? There's other affairs in the ayah. Everybody's focus is on lahm al-khinzir. There's other. Let's focus, because we gotta finish. قال في الدين حرمت عليكم الميتة والدم. Dead meat and what? Blood and pork and what was what? Slaughtered for other than Allah. طيب, I think that's clear. Which that's first or second? خلاص. Keep going. Let's keep going. وحرمت عليكم أمهاتكم وبناتكم. This is clear. وأخواتكم وعماتكم وخالاتكم وبنات الأخ وبنات الأخت. Surah An-Nisa, ayah number 23. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, it has been unlawful upon you, your mothers, your daughters, to the end of that. I think that's clear. Which one? Dini. Good. Let's keep going. طيب, Shaykh al-Islam continues to say, رحمه الله, وأما لفظ الكلمات فقال في الكلمات الكونية وصدقت بكلمات ربها وكتبه وكانت من القانتين. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about Maryam alayhi salatu wassalam. You'll find that she says that she believed in the words of her Lord and his books. Here it gets tricky, very tricky. And it's been established in the Sahih, al-Bukhari Muslim, upon the message of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, أنه كان يقول أعوذ بكلمات الله التامة كلها من شر ما خلق ومن غضبه وعقابه ومن شر عباده ومن همزات الشياطين وأن يحضرون. Good. As it says that Maryam bint Imran said that she believed in the words of her Lord and his books. Before we talk about this, let's read this quickly and we'll close out. Because these are very important. So now Shaykh al-Islam Taymiyyah is moving on to the usage. So what do we have here? We have ba'th, we have irsal, we have what? Ja'al, tahrim, and what's the fifth? We said tahrim. We said that. Tahrim. Now we're embarking upon kalimat. Now we're talking about kalimat. Words. The usage of the word kalimat. You see it? Well, he was looking at me kind of like he was. Kalimat. Let's keep going. So, Shaykh al-Islam Taymiyyah, rahimahullah, he says, al-kalimat al-kawniyah. So, words which are in this what? Existence. Then he gives the ayah, which is a surah, at-tahrim. About Maryam, she said that she believed in the words of her Lord and his books. So let's keep going. And also which has been established in the Sahih, in Bukhari Muslim, upon the message of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, أنه كان يقول أعوذ بكلمات الله التامة كلها من شر ما خلق. I seek refuge in the perfect words of Allah, all of it, from the evil He created, or the evil what He created, and from His anger, and from His punishment, and from the evil of His servants, and from the whispers of the devils, that they will be in attendance, meaning that they will be occupying, or within the attendance of yourself, or within yourself, or within your house, or whatever. So, let's keep reading. Sunnah at-Tirmidhi, let's keep going. وحسن الإمام الألباني وقال من نزل منزلا فقال أعوذ بكلمات الله التامات من شر ما خلق لم يضره شيء حتى يرتحل من منزله ذلك. He said, if whoever descends in a desolate place and they say أعوذ بالله, I seek refuge in the perfect words of Allah from the evil what He created, nothing will harm him until he abandons that place of his, or that place of settlement of his. Let's keep reading. يقول وكان يقول أعوذ بكلمات الله التامات التي لا يجاوزهن بر ولا فاجر من شر ما خلق. There's different variations of it. من شر ما خلق وضرأ وبرأ من شر ما ينزل من السماء من شر ما يعرج فيها من شر ما ضرأ في الأرض وبرأ من شر ما يخرج منها من شر فتن الليل والنهار من شر كل طارق إلا طارقا يطرق بخير يا رحمن. That's a beautiful dua. Let's keep going. Musnad al-Imam Ahmad. But that love is da'if. There's another love that's more correct. We'll talk about that in a minute. وكلمات الله التامات. Let's read what Shaykh al-Islam says so we can close out. The words of Allah that are perfect, in which nothing will surpass it. Barrun wala fajr. Person who is righteous, nor a person who's a fajr. In which Allah kawwana biha al-kainat. Meaning those words in which Allah formed by it, which is created. That no one righteous, nor anyone evil. Gave you the key. Gave you the hint. Gave you the hint here. Says, barrun wala fajr. Person righteous and a person what? Fajr. Upon takwinihi min kawn. Takwinihi wa mashi'atihi wa qudratih. For his formed in the creation, or what is willed, or what? And his ability. So now put a slash right there. Stop. So that's connected with what? The existence. You see it? It's kawni. You see it? Kawni. Now he's going to move to what? Dini. So now if you want to put after the slash, now he's going to say dini. As for amma kalimatuhu diniya, وهي كتبه المنزلة وما فيها من أمره ونهيه فأطاعها الأبرار وعصاها الفجار وأولياء الله المتقون هم المطيعون لكلماته الدينية وجعله الديني وإذنه الديني وإرادته الدينية. وأما كلماته الكونية التي لا يجاوزها بر ولا فاجر فإنه يدخل تحتها جميع الخلق حتى إبليس وجنوده وجميع الكفار. I'll read this quickly because we almost finished. He said, as for what is the words in the religion, which is the words or the books that were revealed, of what is in it, of his commands, subhanahu wa ta'ala, and his prohibitions. For verily the righteous obeyed it, and who disobeyed it was who? The fujjar, the criminals, or the disobedient ones. And the awliya Allah al-muttaqoon, we'll talk about this in a minute. The awliya of Allah who are close to him, who are pious, they are the ones who what? Obeyed his religious what? Words. His religious words. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it dini. And he made his permission dini. Now you'll find that Shaykh al-Islam is mentioning all the different words. He said that he made it dini. And his permission, dini. And what he intended, dini. As for the words of this existence, in which no righteous individual surpasses, nor what? Nor sinner. So it's good and evil there. So that's talking about what's kawni. Since the fact, what was mentioned? Good and good. You guys are paying attention. Good and evil. For verily, who enters into that is all of the creation, even who? The devil himself. That's who? Which category? First or second? First. And his soldiers. All of the kuffar and everyone who will enter the fire, may Allah preserve us and you give us refuge from that. فالخلق, the creation, وإن اجتمعوا في شمول الخلق والمشيئة والقدرة والقدر لهم فقد افترقوا في الأمر والنهي والمحبة والرضا والغضب. So let's keep mentioning this. He said, in regards to all of the creation, meaning the people of the hellfire, they entered to the first. The creation, even if they was to gather, of what it contains of all the creation and his will and his ability and power and his decree for them. They all gathered within that affair. All of them. Right or wrong? You understand? Is it clear so far? We talked about this 20 times. Good and evil all gather within one category, which is kawni. Good. Excellent. He said, then they separate. فقد افترقوا في الأمر والنهي والمحبة والرضا والغضب والأولياء المتقون. He said, then they now disperse, they separate. As far as in the affairs of command, prohibition, and love and the pleasure of Allah and His anger. We'll talk about this in a minute. And the awliya of Allah al-muttaqun, of those who what? Who complied with the commands of Allah and they committed what was commanded, or they carried out what was commanded, and they abandoned what was what? Prohibited. And they also remained patient upon what Allah decreed for them. And Allah loved them, and they loved Him. And He was pleased with them, and they were pleased with what? With Him. As for the enemies who are the awliya of the devil, who are close to the devil, even though they're still at the same time under Allah's power and domination. You understand? He hates them shara'an. As far as in the what? In the dini. Even though they're under his what? Under his power and domination, and he hates them. And they hate him. Excuse me. He hates them and he's angry with them, excuse me. And he cursed them. And he made them his enemies. وَبَسَطَ هَذِهِ الْجُمَلْ لَهُ مَوْضِعٌ آخَرُ. أو وَبَسْطُ هَذِهِ الْجُمَلْ لَهُ مَوْضِعٌ آخَرُ. He says, as far as given the details of this, he said of the aspect of these words or these lines in detail, that's for another place. He says, وَإِنَّمَا كَتَبْتُهَا هُنَا تَنْبِيهًا على مجامع الفرق بين أولياء الرحمن وأولياء الشيطان. It will stop. He said, for verily I wrote it here in summary to arouse awareness, to give awareness of gathering the difference between those who are close to Allah or the most merciful and those who are close to what? The devil. So let's go back to the first part of Maryam. We'll explain a little bit of those lines and then we'll stop. So first thing, the kalimat of Allah breaks down to what? Two categories. Kawniya and what? Diniya Shar'iyya. Good. Kawni is what Allah disposes of the words that He subhanahu wa ta'ala allows for affairs to happen, whether it be or what have you. And with Allah that He subhanahu wa ta'ala disposes of the affairs by, or He commands by, whether it be good or what? Evil. Good. Kalimat Shar'iyya, what Allah, just as far as the second category, is what Allah legislated for His servants, and what He rectifies for them, and what He allows for them to draw close to Him by. And that's what we'll mention this in the next class in detail next week, inshallah. So don't worry. As it comes in the Quran, the authentic Sunnah, in the Quran that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned concerning Maryam bint Imran, that she believed in the perfect words of Allah that are what? Kawni. Here it's Kawni. So put that in here. That she believed in His words, the words of her Lord. That first part is Kawni. The first part. That she believed in the words of her Lord. صدقت بكلمات الله الكونية فآمنت بالقضاء والقدر. So she believed in the qada and the qadr of Allah. Don't worry, and at the same time, it gathered between the second category too, which is what? The books. So gather between what? First and second. So she believed in the perfect words of her Lord, which is what Allah preordained, and the books, which is what? Shari, which is legislated. And like a mu'min is similar. They believed in the perfect words of Allah, of what goes by or what goes forth, of good and evil within its existence. That they submit to it, firmly believe in it, and know that it's from Allah. And that all these affairs that are overwhelmingly adverse, which are reached the critical point of pressure, all of it is to put pressure on the creation to see who will what? Remain firm, to who will what? Buckle under the pressure or fold under the pressure. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserve our brothers and sisters who are seem like they're becoming weak. We ask Him to return them back to what's correct, a beautiful return. But all of this pressure within life that we see taking place around the world is to put pressure on the creation in order to bring about, number one, it shows who's who. Shows who's your friend to who's your what? Who's your foe. So it says in the poetry, Jazallahu shada'id kull khairin araftu biha sadiqi min aduwi. May Allah reward difficult times a good reward. Jazallahu shada'id kulla khairan. May Allah reward difficult times, all good. I know by who's my friend to who's my what? Who's my foe, who's my enemy. So you'll find that the poetry here clearly explains that the only way you'll see who's who is when hard times come. Hard times reveal who the true individual it is. It also says in another poetry, ستبدي لك الأيام ما كنت جاهلا ويأتيك بالأخبار ما لم تزودي مهما تكن عند امرئ من خليقة وإن خالها تخفى على الناس إيش تعلمي. As it says, that the times will reveal to you who's who and what's what in a state when you are ignorant. And it will bring you news even if you don't go out to look for it. ويأتيك بالأخبار ما لم تزودي. No matter how much a person hides within themselves of any form of behavior or anything they conceal, eventually it's going to what? It's going to expose itself and it's going to come out. Just sit back and wait. It will come out and it will what? Show itself to you. You just have to be patient. But that's for the poetry. It says here, no matter what a person hides and conceals, eventually it'll what? It'll come out. So in that instance, everyone, you'll find that these type of affairs is to let one know that the things of what happens around us of very trying times is all to put pressure to see who's who. Number one, it reveals who is who. And number two, is to push you to return back to what's right. To start straightening out your life. And if something is going on within it, that is a consider some form of discrepancy, rectify it between you and your Lord before the time comes when you have no more time left. So all these affairs take place for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for a reason and out of His infinite wisdom. We'll stop here. Right. Any questions about the lesson? So put a mark on that, everyone. We'll continue next week, inshallah. Fadl. Irjal. Irsal.
Sorry. What is it? How is it different from that?
He can't. Fixation.
Fixation. I don't understand
No, I know Abdur-Aziz. I know how he is. Fadl. Yeah. Ba'ath has a slight. You don't say ana ba'athtuhu. It's just Ba'ath is more in depth. You don't say ana ba'athtu fulan. That I sent him to. You want to say that I sent him to you as a ba'ath. No. I said to you as a messenger. Nobody says, Ana arsaltu ilayka ba'ithan. That's kind of like more, what's the word I'm looking for? It's more eloquent. It's kind of more, it's more formal. You're not going to say that Ana arsaltu ilayka ba'ithan. Nobody says that in Arabic language. They're going to say, Ana ba'atu ilayka rasulan. Or they say Rasul, or it's just like in English that you have high eloquent words that mean the same thing that you're not going to use they're going to be like, well, were you in a lecture? It's common language, but it means the same, but it's kind of think of a word in English that is very high in eloquence. And if you say it means the same, but it's not commonly used. I'm trying to think of it. It's so many words like that in English. Was tafadhal. Verily, I am hungry. But you're saying that's a good example. You say that is an excellent example. So, verily, I am hungry. Anyone send us amongst us, what are we going to do? If we said that, if we said it amongst our friends, and one of your friends said that, you would think that he's trying to be what? Funny. Why? Because he's being very what? Eloquent and sophisticated when he speaks. Verily, I am hungry now. You understand? Just focus. Verily, I'm what? Hungry. Instead of just saying, really, I'm what? Hungry. Really, I'm hungry. So that's like what? That's like common language. So that's similar to ba'ath. It's the same thing. It's like very eloquent, but nobody's not going to say that. It's just very eloquent. Why not? Because they're different. They have slight differences and variations in what they mean. And it's in the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the distinction. Not Shaykh al-Islam.
That's what I'm asking. What's the difference?
Oh my goodness. Next question, everyone. I'll talk to this after the class is over. Uh-huh. Well, as far as in what? Surah al-Isra? Which one? Surah al-Isra? Oh, that's the Surah al-Ma'idah. That's the Surah al-Ma'idah. All of them from the story of Bani Israel. All of them. Surah al-Isra. Uh-huh. تفضل. No, that's it. We stopped at Kalimat. That's where we stopped at. And then you're going to start speaking about the other matters of the deviant sects of the Sufis and all that.
That ayah about pork, is that the only one that's
Say it again. Say it again.
Is that the only ayah in the Quran about pork?
Nope. There's another ayah. I'll give it to you after the class is over. There's one ayah, Surah al-Ma'idah, and there's another one. It should be in Baqarah, or it might be in another ayah. After I'll give it to you in the class just to make sure, so it could be on point. But that's not the only ayah. But that's one of them. But there's more than one. Any other question about the lesson? Hold on for 1 second. Any questions online? I'm sorry. Say it again. Nothing online? طيب. مكسور. Nothing. طيب نكتفي بهذا القدر وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله